Tomorrow is Thanksgiving, and if you're headed out of town for the holiday or participating in a special event, Chief Meteorologist Dave Williams with ABC News 4 gives you his most accurate forecast for the holiday for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. ABC News 4 Chief Meteorologist Dave Williams. Welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Great to see you, my friend.
I appreciate it greatly. Right now I believe it's 54 degrees outside right here in Bell Hall as I'm sitting out here. And let me go back to this. Oh, go ahead.
I think we may be up to 50, 56, but
wow. I'm still cold nonetheless.
You don't like to run in this weather. I had a great run this morning.
Oh, that's great. That's amazing. Because I know it was a little cold for some people. Do you know what were the preliminary low temperatures across the area this morning?
So we haven't gotten the official numbers in yet, but from the National Weather Service, the coolest I saw this morning was 28 degrees. So that actually ties for the third coldest temperature we've seen so far this year. We were 26 back in February, and I believe that was the 4th, and we were 27 back on January 30th. So 28 this morning, third coldest start.
Ooh. And what are the 4 words to describe the weather right now?
Honestly, I would call it a little winter chill, but still fall-like.
Yes, indeed.
That was more than 4 words. My bad.
It's all good. It's all good. And I know we obviously had a chilly day on Tuesday, as some people called it. A polar air mass took a hole across the low country. Where did this polar air mass come from?
So it did. It came all the way out of Canada. It came from on the other side of the North Pole. It came sliding all the way down from Alaska through Canada, the Great Lakes, and then right down over top of us. And if you think about it, since it came so early in the season, it wasn't really all that bad. Imagine if that cold air mass came here in the middle of January. It probably would have been about 10, maybe 12 degrees colder. So we actually did okay with that one. I'll take it right now. I don't want it the middle of January.
So what saved us this time, Dave, from being actually really cold?
Well, just the fact that it's fall. It's not the middle of winter yet. We still have a little bit more daylight here. And there's not as strong of a punch of cold air. So it's very short-lived. It doesn't come in and stick around for day after day after day. It comes in for maybe 1 or 2 days, and then it lifts right back out.
Wow. So do we expect any more of those days to come here?
It doesn't look too bad, really. I mean, we're going to see a little bit of cool weather, but nothing bitterly cold. And tomorrow morning is going to be the coolest start we see over the next week after today. It's going to be right around freezing again tomorrow morning. But after that, temperatures should get quite a bit milder.
Oh, that's great to hear. And speaking of which, let's talk about the next 8 hours. How will the weather look?
Oh, it looks great. For holiday travel across the eastern third of the United States, it looks absolutely perfect. So if folks are getting ready to leave on a road trip, even flying somewhere, taking the train, it doesn't look bad at all across the east coast of the United States. So really quiet. It is going to be chilly tonight. I know we've got some stuff going on. We've got the Festival of Lights going on out on James Island. If you're headed out there for something like that, make sure to bundle up because it will be cold tonight. Those temperatures will drop back near freezing very quickly.
Ooh, and what has been the warmest Thanksgiving here in Charleston?
The warmest, I actually have it here. Let me look it up. I believe it's 81, and that was back in 2010. Let's see. I do have it here. Yes, 81 back in 2010. And I remember that well because I was cooking my turkey with shorts, a T-shirt, and all the windows in the house open.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. Now, when we go back to the cold, what has been the coldest here in Charleston for Thanksgiving?
So the coldest start we've ever had for a Thanksgiving, same as we had this morning, 28 degrees. And that was all the way back in 1970. So tomorrow, I think we start out about 32, 33 degrees. So a little bit above that. So not the coldest, but it's going to be one of the colder starts we see for Thanksgiving.
And speaking of that, in your mind, what are the average highs and lows for Thanksgiving?
So the average high and low right now is 67 and 45. So the average high around 67, average low around 45. And even though we're going to start around freezing tomorrow morning, by the afternoon, we're going to have those highs right back about where we should be. I'm forecasting a high of 66. So that's pretty darn close to that 67.
And, I'm going to go for a run, not to run the Turkey Day run, but for those who are going to run this Turkey Day run at 9 a.m. tomorrow, what will be that temperature?
Cold. It's going to be cold out there. It'll be a lot like this morning. So, especially since the race starts at 9 o'clock in the morning, if you're going to be out there lining up early, about 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, you're talking about temperatures back in the 30s. So make sure you're dressed warmly and dress in layers, because as you run, you're going to work up a sweat. You're going to want to peel off some of those layers. So make sure to dress in layers, or like an onion, I heard before. So you peel it off just like the layers of an onion.
That's exactly right. I love that. And speaking of dressing up in layers, how about for those people who are going to go to Walmart, Target for those Black Friday sales? What would you forecast Thursday into Friday?
So one thing we have to look out for on Friday morning, especially for those early morning deals, it looks like another cold front's going to come through here. It's not going to be the Arctic air like we just saw with the last front, but we have a pretty decent chance for rain, mainly from about 7 in the morning until noon. So if you're headed out early on Black Friday, make sure to have a raincoat with you and make sure to have an umbrella, because we are going to see that rain. It doesn't look nearly as cold. We're going to start out in the lower 50s on Friday morning. And by Friday afternoon, we should be sunny once again and temperatures back into the mid 60s. So really, the weather over the next several days doesn't look too bad, but be prepared for that little bit of rain on Friday morning.
Wow. And I know that you all in the weather department are really happy right now, because there were no hurricanes to talk about here in the Low Country or even in the Southeast this year.
We did have Elsa move through. So Elsa moved through back in July, and we actually saw quite a few tornado warnings out of that system. We saw some heavy rain. We saw some wind damage. So even a tropical storm can do damage here. That's more than I want to see. And we just had that one. So we were fairly lucky, no hurricanes. And at this time in the year, we only have about a week left in hurricane season. You don't typically get a hurricane. I don't think there's a record of a hurricane hitting the United States this late in the season.
Wow, that's just amazing. So when you look back at November to right now, what sticks out in your mind meteorologically?
For the whole month of November?
Yes, sir.
It's honestly been a very typical fall November. We've had some ups, we've had some downs. The one thing about this November, we really haven't had a whole lot of rain. It's been pretty dry, and especially northern parts of the viewing area up toward Williamsburg County, Georgetown County, they're starting to slip into a little bit of a drought. So even though we've had a decent amount of rain throughout the year, the last couple months have been a little bit on the dry side. So hopefully we can get some rain as we head into December and January, because we don't want to have a drought as we're headed toward the growing season next spring.
Absolutely. And obviously when you talk about, water and rain around here, you always talk about king tides and all those other issues. Let me ask you, why were early November 2021 tides so high in your mind?
Yeah, we had everything just coming together to give us those astronomically high tides. And the highest tides we saw, it was that Sunday. Let me pull up a calendar here. It was Sunday was it the 6th or Saturday the 6th?
I remember that.
It was either the 6th or the 13th. It was that Saturday, and that's when we really saw those high tides. And the things we had working against us, really, we did have a new moon. So it was a new moon phase, and that brought us astronomical high tides to begin with. It wouldn't have mattered if we had bad weather in the area anyway. But then on top of that, we got really strong onshore winds from the northeast. There was a storm, pretty significant storm. It actually ended up becoming a tropical system far out in the Atlantic Ocean. It was just off our coast, and then it went out into the Atlantic Ocean. As it was off our coast, it was at that same time. So we had the astronomical high tides due to the new moon. We had onshore winds from the northeast, and then we had a big storm just taking shape out over the ocean. Plus, there was a little rain on top of that, and all those things came together to give us some very high tides. In fact, we climbed onto the top 10 list for the highest crests in the Charleston Harbor ever. So they were significant king tides that we saw earlier this month.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I talked to Sonya on Twitter about this, but obviously December looks fairly mild from a meteorological standpoint. Talk to me more about that.
Yeah, I don't like to put the cart ahead of the horse. A lot of times with the long-term predictions, it's pretty tough to pin something down. It honestly looks like we're going to see maybe a cold snap coming toward the beginning of December, maybe that first weekend. So we'll have to watch out for that. And December typically is a time where we see, just like November, some up, some down. So I expect some days where folks are out in shorts and flip-flops, but I also expect days where folks are out in their winter coats and their hats and their gloves, because we're going to probably see a little bit of both.
Wow. Stay tuned. Well, Chief Meteorologist Dave Williams with your most accurate certified forecast. Thank you for your time. And again, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Great to see you, Quintin, and have a happy Thanksgiving.
Likewise.